Hi everyone, so this is phase 3 part 2. So I just quickly want to start on the assessment rubric here. So you are sure now that you have everything for your cover page. We already spoke here about the headings, using heading styles and the different levels. I want you to please scroll through your document and your research report now, your Word document, and make sure that you still are complying with these things that we already also looked at in terms of your line and paragraph spacing, and that you have no empty paragraphs anywhere. So just constantly as you work with your document, make sure that you don't have those empty paragraphs that we spoke about in part 1. And that you still also have consistent formatting in terms of your font sizes and font types and those type of things. Okay, body text is easily distinguished from headings. Again, as you work with it, make sure that your body text, your paragraphs are a bit smaller and the same size than your headings and so on. Then we spoke about the automatic page numbering, the page numbering in the footers and so on, and the page breaks and those section breaks for the appendices that are already in your document that I gave you. We did the table of contents, and now we can do the table of figures. Actually, sorry, we're not going to start with the table of figures yet because I first want to do the findings. And so, as I said in part 1 also, we'll get back to these 3 marks when we are done with the findings as well. So you've got your body now where you get marks for your information, and we will now do the findings. I just want to go through these things again to make sure we cover everything. You already do have the hyperlinks and bookmarks to internal things because we did those links to the top. I'm sorry, I just had to stop my recording there for a second, so I apologize if it sounded a little bit funny now. So yes, we'll get back to these ones. Technical aspects, we already again looked at the font sizes and the spelling and grammar. Now you should have these marks. Let's quickly check. All sources used are clearly and appropriately acknowledged, and citations are added for all sources. So now as you went through your 10 questions and you deleted the hyperlinks and the screenshots and replaced those with your citations, you should have that mark now that you have acknowledged your sources. So make sure that you put in your citations when you worked on your information there. Graphics from other sources are clearly and appropriately acknowledged. So this would also fall under the citation that you've used in that section. So if you have a picture added for, let's say, question 3, you've decided in your screenshot that there's a nice picture and you kept it and you put a caption on that picture, and you still have your caption also, your citation for the source that you got it from, then you're covered for that mark as well. Citation present or added correctly. So again, you have your citations and you have a minimum of 3 citations added. So you should have all 4 of these marks by now. Double check your that section. Let me just quickly show you here on the Word document what I mean. Okay, we've got our, you should have your table of contents here now. You should have your cover page, all the details in. You should have your introduction by now. These ones are phase 1, so that's also in. And here now you are left with a heading and a citation and your own words with like the information that you got from your print screen and maybe a picture. Okay, so this is where you will get those marks for the citations and the acknowledgement of the sources. Okay, back to the assessment rubric. Okay, so let's maybe quickly do the bibliography, since that shouldn't be a problem at this stage. And then I'm first going to go to the the findings before we continue with these other things. Okay, so with the bibliography, you can go back to your research report here. Come on. And you're going to have to go look for the heading bibliography, or you can do a quick link to it with you using your find options. Okay, then from here, you're going to go references. Here under citation and bibliography, you're going to click on bibliography. And since there is no strict rule about what you need to use here, we usually use, I wonder now if mine is going to look a little bit different because I've got Office 365 here, but you can just pick one of those ones. Okay, so just check now. The thing that's really important here is that you don't end up with two headings here. So you can either remove this one, but it's better maybe also to remove this one because this one is now on your index, your table of contents. Okay. So obviously I am working on an empty document here. So you have your sources that you've inserted here for your table at the bottom, and you should have at least 3 here. So in other words, you should have at least 3 over there too. Mine is empty because I'm only using the example document. Okay. So now I'm going to go again back to my assessment rubric. And as I said, I will get back to the captions and the table of figures. You have already now put in captions on some of your pictures there, but we still have a little bit more pictures that we're going to put in, and therefore I'm only going to do that after we did the findings. Your table of figures, you should get that marked now. You've used an automatic table of figures. Let's quickly see supporting documentation added as part of the document. Your appendices, we have that clearly distinguishable from the main document. For example, different sections, restarting page numbers, and descriptive headers and footers. Our appendices that is like that in the document that I gave you. So that mark is also fine. So it's just this one basically that we need to get back to the table of figures that we will do later on. In your introduction, we discussed that, and that should be 100% now. Here's the last thing you worked on the part 1 video, the relevant and appropriate data and information. So that's basically the answers that you were left with from your research that you did under the questions. Relevant information grouped together under appropriate headings. We have that mark because you had your general information, risks and challenges, or you might have used your own headings, but those ones are organized according to that mark. All graphics used are relevant and appropriate. This you also now need to check. If you read through and scan through your information that you're left with under the categories and your headings where you did your questions, are you left there with pictures that are relevant and appropriate to the each point you have there? So even having let me use a silly example, like a picture of a mask under a question where you've spoken about using online classes is not relevant to that section, So just try to make sure that all your pictures are relevant to that exact point that you have where you did that question. Okay, now we have the discussion, which is going to be your findings in your research report. Okay, so let's quickly read through these 4 points, and then go back to the Word document, and I'll explain what you need to do. So at least 3 appropriate claims, findings, or relevant to the investigation. All claims or arguments or findings are supported by relevant and appropriate data and information. And again, here we see the links to the external data. So this is also where we're going to get that mark for the hyperlinks that we're still missing. A meaningful explanation of how or why the evidence supports the argument or claim, and show a clear understanding of the problem and investigation. This is an important mark, and you're going to have to really put the effort in to get that mark, because you're going to have to do your explanations really nicely to make sure that you have the evidence, the explanation, the meaning and you show the understanding of the problem. Your findings and recommendations include some new and thoughtful ideas and insights about the problem. Okay, so let's go back to our research document now. And I'm going here to the findings heading. Okay, do you see I've got an empty heading, empty paragraph here that I just need to remove? So now here I am going to use my graphs from my Excel spreadsheet, as well as my queries from my Access database. So if those things are meaningful and they are on data that you've gathered that actually help you to understand the problem and find a solution, then you're set here. And that's also why it was really important for you throughout this research document to make sure that you do things with meaning. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to try and, okay, I'm going to show you. So you basically right-click on one of your graphs that you've made, okay? Then you come back to this Word document. Now, instead of just saying paste, you are going to go here under the Home tab to your paste options under Clipboard. Then you are going to say Paste Special. Then you will get this window open in front of you, and you are not just going to say paste, you are going to say paste link. Now you have to obviously make sure that you are pasting it under an appropriate heading. Just to finish up here, you're going to say paste link, and then you will see there's an option that says paste as an Excel chart object or something like that, and you are going to say okay. Now let me give you an example. If you have created a chart that is on the amount of people that have internet access at home, and on your chart you can clearly see that more people do not have internet at home than those who do, then that is a challenge. That's a problem that we are facing. We don't have enough people with internet at home to realistically do online teaching for everyone. So now you've pasted that chart or graph under challenges. After you've pasted that as a link, and you will be able to see whether it works as a link by right-clicking on the graph, and it will give you options like update information or data, and you will be able to hyperlink to your Excel spreadsheet from that graph. So now you have your graph here. Underneath the graph, you need to type out a sentence or 2 or 3 now, explaining what your findings are here. So let's say, like I used this example of the data now, you've said, or you pasted a graph there that shows that more people do not have internet at home than those who do. You are then going to type a sentence that says, again, these buttons, as can be seen above, more learners do not have internet access at home than those who do. This means so now you're going to go on with this thought. What does this mean? This means that we can't have online teaching for all learners at school, and that we need to find a solution to this if our plan is to do online teaching. If your graph says something about teachers who have a lot of online meetings after they went through this COVID pandemic, then that you might paste under the possible solutions, and you can type a sentence that says, according to the graph, or according to my research, or according to the questionnaire, whatever the case may be, it can be clearly seen that teachers are attending substantially more meetings online than they did before COVID. This means that it is a very possible and viable solution to keeping our social distancing and keeping each other safe, and teachers are willing to attend these meetings, especially also then if you maybe have a graph on the for or against. If you look at the learners information, you can look at the data usage. If you look at how their data usage has maybe increased, if you created a query on that, anything like that, you can use under your findings. And you for the access queries, you can go to your query and take a screenshot of your query as it is in the, can't remember what the query view is now, not in the design view, in the normal view. Okay, so you take a screenshot of that, you can paste it here. You won't be able to paste that one as a link, if I can remember correctly, so that you will paste as a normal screenshot. You can still hyperlink that picture to your Access database, but you are going to have to do it separately. So you paste it normally in your Word document, and then you right click on it and you click on hyperlink, and there you will follow the steps. Let me quickly show you on this Word, for example. So if you have your picture pasted here now, you will right click on the picture and you will have an option hyperlink, which I don't have now. Okay, never mind. You can also go to, was it insert? I always use right click, so I can't remember where to find it on my tabs. Here we go, link. So you will have insert link, and there you will have an insert link, and they would go to folders, and you would go to your phase 2 folder, and from there you go to your Access database and you link it like that. Okay, so you can do exactly that as well with a picture, if you do the screenshot of the queries. Okay, so then you should have more than enough information here. As you can remember, with the assessment rubric, it actually said that you have you need at least 3 findings. So if you use your 2 graphs, and you can even use your graph that you have in your Excel spreadsheet that you did on external research. You remember I told you use a different source, a completely different source, and you look for a graph or something and you put it into a separate sheet. You can also use that and say that that's part of your research. Just make sure that you say where you found that, in terms of, don't make it out to be your own graph, but say that you found this graph in this website, and that it's another, maybe under general information, the statistics of COVID patients, or how many people have started online teaching since COVID, or something like that. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Make sure that whatever you're finding, your chart, your query, whatever it is that you paste here, that you have 2 or 3 sentences explaining very clearly what you basically learned here. What is the new information that you found and what it means, so that you can get that 3rd mark. If I can refer back here to the meaningful explanation of how or why the evidence supports the argument or claim, and show a clear understanding of the problem. And it's include some new thoughtful ideas, insights about the problem and investigation, especially under your possible solutions. Make sure what is your solution in the end. Are we going with online teaching? We need to get back to classes. What is the solution? And that will come in with your conclusion too. As you can see, that's almost a free mark there, because it says conclusion present. So if you type any nonsense there, at least you will get the mark for conclusion, but don't type nonsense. So conclusion drawn from information presented in the report and addresses the original problem or statement or focus in the light of the evidence presented. So there you can refer back to your focus question. Take your focus question and type it out as a statement, but now you're going to have to give it a lot of meat and answer your focus question. So if we say the focus question was, How has education changed using technology in life after COVID? Then you are going to have to answer this question basically with what you have in your findings and all this information that you've gathered. So you will probably say it is extremely challenging for some learners, as all learners don't have devices or enough data, or you can talk about the educator if that was your approach, and you can say that the educator, those who have internet access at school find it easier, but also very challenging in terms of the learners don't have access to data and information and devices to do all the online things. We do now, however, use more WhatsApp groups, and then we found that most learners have access to WhatsApp at least. So you're basically giving a summary of everything that you found out now. Go again and look at your Excel spreadsheet. Look at your Excel spreadsheet and see if you look at those answers that the learners or the teachers gave. In terms of data usage, devices that are used, access to certain things, what have you found out? And you give that in a little summary there. So you see here again, you get a mark for it is meaningful and logical. So if you go and you mention those points of things that you found out, you should be getting that mark too. Look at your findings. Even if you just summarize what you found in your findings, you will get that mark. Relevant to the focus question, as I said, take that focus question down, copy it down, and use that in basically answering this big question now. Okay, now we are going to go back to the table of figures. Okay, so yeah, you get a mark for table of figures. Sorry, yeah. Also for the captions, and then you also get a mark for that yeah. So it's 3 marks basically for the captions and the tables of figures, or the table of figures. So this is a nice, easy mark, actually 3 marks. So I'm going to scroll back up to this page where we did the table of contents. And now this is going to depend on whether you have done your captions correctly. If you still don't have any pictures after everything, now you're going to have to go and deliberately look for a few things. You can put it under your, where we did the questions. So your 10 questions, which are now headings and information. You can put in some pictures here. You can also actually, under your findings, if you want to, right click on your graph, which is now behaving like a picture, and right click on your query screenshots, which also are linked. There's the link option. I don't know if I missed it earlier, but yeah, it is there. And then you can right click on it and say caption. You'll see whenever you right click on a picture, there will be an option for a caption. And then you can give it the same name as the heading, for example, of your graph, or the name that you gave your query. So you can use that for your caption. It's very important that you use the captions though, otherwise nothing is going to turn up on your table of figures. You can also go this route. When you've clicked on the picture and it's selected, you can insert a caption from here and simply say, let's say your graph is on educators. Just use a capital letter there. Wait, where's my capital letter? Educators for online teaching, if that is what your graph is about, for example. Okay, then now we're going to go back up again. Yeah, under your heading that says table of figures, you are simply going to say insert table of figures. You can use the standard settings here. If you want to change it a little bit and you want to look at some other nice formats and things like that, you can do that. But at the end of the day, same mark, doesn't matter which one you pick, and you say okay, and just make sure now, if you have 5 pictures in, that you have 5 entries here. If you don't have that, that means one of your captions didn't work out for you. Go and fix it. Just remember to then come back here again and say update field. Okay, same with your table of contents. It's a good idea at this stage, after you've done everything, to just right click on your table of contents, say update field, and make sure that everything is still kosher and that all your headings will show up in your table of contents. Okay, let's quickly go back a last time to the assessment rubric. So now we have all our hyperlinks, because you've hyperlinked your graphs and your screenshots for your queries and things. So now you will get this mark. We've gone through all those things and those ones, and now you will get that automatic table of figures there. And yeah, we're done with the research document, the Word document. Okay, so these 48 marks is a lot of marks. So make sure that you are 100% sure you've done everything there. And then the next video I will post will be on the website that you need. If you look at the websites, if you go into the website HTML documents that I gave to you on in your folders, you will see that there's already a bit of a skeleton for you. So you can start adding some information into your skeleton there if you feel confident. Otherwise, you can wait for my video and I will give you more information there. Okay. Good luck, guys.